Welcome. You're listening to the Rotten River Pursuits podcast. Join our epic pro staff around the Sonic campfire for stories and adventures from our eastern mountains to the Chesapeake Salt. Let our highs and lows inspire you to take to the outdoors.
All right, guys, gathered around the Sonic campfire. Big show tonight. Big show tonight. Yeah. Welcome to Rotten River Pursuits.
My fire sound effect.
That's pretty good.
I hit it again this week.
What's going on?
I'm Steve.
I'm Dave.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Uncle Buck.
I'm Will.
How you guys doing?
I'm good.
I'm pretty good.
We're just going to get right to it. I'm not going to mess around here tonight.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I'm not messing around. You guys.
You always mess around there.
You guys don't know. I've been keeping this to myself for weeks now.
Do you have a secret to tell?
I have a secret to tell. We have a secret guest tonight.
What?
That you guys don't know. You thought we were coming and just doing some,
David Kyle
Get
show.
to know David Kyle again?
Know David. No, this is...
Get to know real Kyle. Or what's the other?
Tall Kyle.
Tall Kyle.
Killer Kyle.
Get to know Tall Kyle again.
Yeah.
No, not tonight. So this is a very special episode. We are excited. I'm excited. I don't know any other word. Is there a word more than excited?
I don't. You're always excited, though.
Yeah,
But you got to let us in, bud, so we can join you.
Yeah, what's going on?
Okay, Phil, I'm going to give you 3 clues. All right.
All right.
Let's see if you can guess who tonight's guest is.
Get on with it.
Are you ready?
I'm more than ready.
All right. National Geographic.
Huh.
Anything.
You better hit that second
All right,
question.
second question. Barefoot. You get
I've seen some lights go off.
I think I have an idea.
Okay,
Are we
you're
talking?
going to get this last one here.
Are we thinking Northwest?
Olympic Mountains.
It's Mick Dodge, guys. What is going on? Get Mick.
Yush.
You got it, buddy. Mick, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're awesome. We're great.
I'm finding a frog here now, Mick, that I know who I'm talking to, and I'm talking to a legend. I'm not even referring to National Geographic.
Yeah, you kind of were.
Mick?
Well, I was hoping for a better question there, like, who's 7 feet tall and blows drum out of his butthole?
You only do that when the camera's on,
I got
though.
to be honest with you guys. That guy's not on here. This is the stunt guy. I'm a lot shorter.
That's all we could get a hold of was Mick Dodge's stunt guy.
That's all we can afford.
Well, I'll take him. He sounds just like him.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So, Mick, thank you for joining us tonight.
Nick.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
This is Nick Dodge.
This stuntman.
Mick Dodge's stuntman, Nick Dodge.
Yeah.
No,
it is the Mick Dodge.
The Mick
I
Dodge.
know it. There's no stunt double here.
I'll tell you what, that rock cell phone that I usually see him using has got pretty good reception. You're coming through pretty clear, Mick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I actually got a new one. I'm using a seashell now. It works a lot.
Beep, boop, beep, boop.
Is that the one that the professor made for Gilligan's Island? Yeah.
It's the same one.
Yeah.
Still working.
Good model. Yeah, it's a good model.
It's the
Just
iShell
sending them out.
4.
It's the iShell.
The iShell 4. I like it.
Icon.
Let's just get right into it. Mick, the best question to ask right now is, where are you?
Well, now I'm down in east of San Luis Obispo. Took off about November. I made my way down here. I'm on a 5,000-mile journey where I'm setting up Urchin base camps on the west side of the Rocky Mountains. I head out of the Olympic Mountains, come down the Oregon or the Cascades, and get down here in San Luis Obispo area in the Los Padres Mountains. Set up base camp here. Already have another one set up in the southern Rockies in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Jeez.
And then I got another one I should back up there at Lake Tahoe, and another one in Oregon. So I'm setting these up now. I'm using a van that my father left me, and setting these Urchin camps up. And about probably next year, I'll start pushing my way up through the Rockies, setting up Urchin base camps. Then when I get up to around the glacier area up in Montana, I'm going to real subtle, like hang a turn west and head back home to the Olympics. And then once I have this course set up, I park the van, and then I'm going to be traveling that for a few years, with the seasons, and come down this way in the winter time.
Wow.
So that's kind of the project I've been. It's a big earth gym from the Canadian border, the Mexican border, west of the Rockies, the Pacific coast.
Will you travel that by foot?
Eventually, yeah. I've done a lot of it already by foot. I do stations. I go down, set it up, go back, park the van, catch a train or hitchhike, and then do a run back down. So I've already done the run from the Olympics down here, and I ran all the way, got as far as San Francisco, and I got so turned around in there, I actually hitched a ride with a guy to get further down here.
Wow.
Because of the damn traffic, I couldn't figure my way around that town.
Didn't you make a trip from the Olympics for Moonhair's daughter's wedding on foot?
Yeah, I've actually done that run from the Olympics down to the Tahoe area to.
Okay.
I've done that probably about 10 times.
Wow.
In ballpark, how many miles are we talking about right there?
Thank you.
I gave up running miles years ago. You take the S on the word into the word miles and put it in the front. I run smile.
Ah, nice.
But, I may run, 5 miles in one day and then sit around that spot for a couple of weeks. And then I'll suddenly take off, do a, 100, 150. But it's it's zigzagging. I have a lot of places that I stop at, like organic farms and different places I'll go into, fatten up, and then take off again. So the fastest I've ever done it was 2 months, and that was from the Olympics down there to Tahoe.
Wow.
And the longest that it's taken me was I think a year and a half.
Wow.
And so it's just being a nomad.
Yeah, you're taking your time.
Yeah.
Don't blame me.
Yeah, and I train. I love physical training. It's always been a major part of my life. So I see the earth as a gem. You spell that in two ways, G-E-M, a jewel, a precious jewel. But the other one is G-Y-M. And so those physical training disciplines and stuff that I take those outside and then study, fitting it back into kind of a primal body research and see what that's about. And so, that's really my passion. Nat Geo didn't really want to film that part. I think that was too boring to him.
This is Uncle Buck here, and I'm completely in tune with your philosophy, your religion, if you will. Human beings, we've gotten inside way too much. We don't appreciate the outdoors. We've gotten soft. We've kind of lost touch with our primal, and I think that's why we have a lot of mental health in human beings anymore. I know I feel better once I can get outside for it, 4 hours, 5 hours at a time. I can only imagine what a few more would do for me. And
you're starting to freak me out. I have an Uncle Bucky.
Nice.
And he sounded just like you.
But I turned on The Legend of Mick Dodge, and I saw the first episode, and I was like, I need more of this. And what I liked about it, I took it for when you looked at the camera and you would give a little life's pearl, Mick, and like explaining about why the tattoos you chose for your feet. Like, amen, brother, amen. Like, it's time to get our feet back in the earth and reconnect and let Mother Nature talk to us a little bit, And
well, thank you for saying it. One of the when they come with their agenda, these reality TV outlets, I think they have their agenda, and they're always looking for that drama. The main problems we kept trying to get across to them that need to be solved today is just exactly what you're talking about, is too many people have become too sedentary, polarized, and defeated. And I spell that with 2 E's. And it's about stepping back out and making that an adventure, developing a practice of stepping back into the, away from the world. And my understanding of the word world, I tracked it. It's an old German word that means the age of humans, the age of man. When I was in the Marines, we'd be overseas and we couldn't wait to get back to the world. And so I use that word in the meaning that it's about modern living, the age of humans, the age of man. It's all about human beings. And what's outside that world, once you step outside it, you start landing back into the earth again and coming to your senses. And there's many ways to do that and develop a practice in that. I've run into some folks who are pushing what's called forest bathing. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
Yeah, it's big in China and Korea and Japan. It's called forest bathing, forest immersion. And it's going out there and developing mindful practices and sitting there. Now, I love mindful practices, but I also love it with a fishing pole.
Yeah.
There's a deeper connection, I think, that begins to take that, or when you're tracking. One of the three main tools I carry with me is a magnifying glass, a microscope, and a jeweler's loupe. I do that in order to draw my vision deeper down into, flowers and insects and, whatever's in front of you, though. It really, it's bringing, movement and habit is formed in habitat. In that habitat, explore not only those tools you have, but the habits that you've formed with them. An example for me is like this. You go in a gym and you turn on some music and you start training. You can do some intense training. Well, now that you can fire your passion up and you can fire your movement up with that music, now go find a place out in the wilderness, a place on a mountain with no electronics, no music, and listen to the natural songs of the earth and develop the same passion with that. That's really what the urchin means to me. Because we're all four-souled, two-footed tool using human habits. Mm-hmm. And so it's about, I often get when I go do talks, people think, what, are you trying to be a hobbit? And I go, no, hobbits are like 3 feet tall, man. I'm taller than that. I'm a human habit spelled with 2 B's. And so it's about developing that kind of practice, because I can see people that don't have that. They're sedentary, they're polarized, there's all this polarization crap going on, and we're just not, being full human beings. We're just not being fully who we are. But most of all, the reason I do it is because it keeps the grin on my face. And that's it. And you always run into good people and fire circles, dancing. So,
Mick,
that's something that comes through in the show is your smile, and your demeanor is just infectious.
It certainly is.
It shoved the camera crew out of the way. Literally, Mick would smile or say something witty, and it just shoved those guys right out of view and out of screen. And it was so appreciative. And I loved it when they would stumble and slow you up, Mick, and you'd give them a little bit of crap here and there on the show. I'm sure you gave them more than what they edited into the show itself.
Oh yeah, there's hundreds of hours. I remember when it was quit talking to the camera guys, and then the guy went back east to the head guys, and I never had quit talking to the camera guys. and the guy came back out one day and he goes, "Hey, we got permission for you to talk to the camera guys, but don't look in the camera." And I'd never thought of that, so I started looking in the camera.
They should have not told you that, huh?
Yeah, I just started looking in there and go, wow, you people sitting there need this kind of drama stuff. Let me say something from the beginning. I thought the show was going to be called The Land of Legends, not The Legend of McDonald. I didn't know they were going to use my name. And there's one driving thing I have going on in my life is showing off the Olympic Mountains. I think it's an incredible place, incredible land. It's just amazing, and it's always been Hoh River has always been a tremendous healing place for me. So the Land of Legends, I like that because it brought in, there's so many different characters there, but there's also so many different river valleys. You have the Hoe, the Bogus Shield, Quinault. It's just an amazing place. Glaciers, ocean shores. It's just a jewel, and it's actually an island. They call it the Olympic Peninsula, but it's actually an island that was formed separately from the rest of the land. So the opportunity to show that off is what I was after, and
I was.
and they named it after me. So that kind of set the pace, I guess we were all going. And I'm a team player. When I trained in the Marines, my father was a Marine Corps 35 years. My uncles were all career Marines, and I grew up in Marine culture and up over in Japan, graduated high school over there, and
Okinawa.
Yeah, in Okinawa, and I was in martial arts from the time I was 5. I mean, my dad, he'd have me up 0500 every morning running 3 miles. And when you'd think on Saturday morning after they had happy hour on Friday night, you'd get off, he'd show up drunk, man. We'd run 3 miles.
Wow.
I started off at 5 years old. He had a pack, and he'd throw me on his back. And he'd just go, feel my body, get in rhythm with me. And as I got older, I was doing more running alongside him. If he wasn't around, one of my uncles would show up and train me. And they were all martial artists, Marines, jiu-jitsu, karate. So I was growing up in that crowd. But the summer, they would always send me back to my granddaddies and grandmamas who were woods people out in the Olympics.
Okay.
And so I was growing up in those two worlds, over in military Marine bases and then coming back home to the Olympics. And I had an incredible childhood because almost everybody in my family just was always about laughing and grinning. I mean, to me, there's the word improv, and that means improve the moment. And you improve that by lots of humor, lots of joy. I mean, shit will get hard at times and get dramatic, but the idea is to keep your grin during that time, to hang on to that humor and that joy. And one thing that moms have taught me, that the very root of humor is that we're also full of shit.
Amen. Amen.
I mean, that's where I always come to.
He's talking to you, Stevie.
I've got it figured out. I don't.
Mick, I'm about 80% BS and probably 20% human being.
Don't sell yourself short, bud. I think you might be more than that.
I don't take myself serious, number one.
That's good.
And then number two, I'm going to hold you to the same standard.
Yeah. So, Mick, there is, reality, I guess you call reality TV now, is getting pretty big. And there's... They've introduced us to several different, I guess you call, types of outdoor people. Between you got mountain men and pioneers and pioneer men and frontier men and
Alaska
survivalists,
people,
and
preppers,
survivalists, all those guys. And I think I know the answer to this. But where does Mick Dodge fall in that spectrum? Is there somewhere or some word that you could place yourself?
Thrivalist. Yeah, I definitely train. The way I really, I'd been trained just around my dads and uncles and my granddaddy's teaching me in the summers, woods, hunting, fishing, those kind of things. But what's really started me off on my journey, but I started screwing my feet up from wearing shoes and boots. I came down with, I could barely walk. I mean, I had hammer toes, and I was hurting my feet, and I'd gone to a doctor, and he said, you're too active. The human being wasn't meant to walk upright. All this kind of stuff with the feet.
Jeez. What?
And I'm sitting there listening to this guy and all his credentials on the wall, and I'm going like, man, where'd he get this BS? But the worst thing of that is I bought into what he planned, and we casted my feet. and I was supposed to keep them in a cast for 6 weeks. Then we're going to cut the cast off, and then put me through rehabilitation. And I was sitting out in the hole in my cabin out there, and I had all my shoes. You know, I was that kind of athlete that, you know, if you had a shoe that had a shank in it, they said that in a magazine, I'd have it. I didn't know what it was, but
Sure.
I'd have it. If I would just turn my whole foot over to the shoe companies, and here I was with casts on my feet, and I opened up a magazine article, a National Geographic magazine, about Chinese women foot binding. And I just looked at my own feet.
Yeah, you look down and
Yes, that night, I sat there 5 hours just opening that magazine and closing it and realizing what I'd done to myself and wearing shoes and stuff. So I cut my cast off, and I just made a vow, you know, I'm not going back to work or even coming out of these mountains till I get my feet healthy or die up here, because that's how I handled stress.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I handled modern living, was physical exercise. And so here I'm losing my walk, I'm losing my feet, and it was a real sickening feeling to me that motivated me. And that feeling that I'm talking about is I realized that my feet did not fit this earth. And when that realization hit me, that set me off on my journey. And I began training barefoot. Everything I knew about training, I was trying to get down on my feet. And one of the things that had happened to me during that time, I had 2 or 3 guys coming up and that would train with me on the weekends in martial arts and physical training. I was kind of known for coaching and doing that. And so they were coming up and training with me. They were here training barefoot as well. And one of the things that had happened to me, I was running longer. I was losing weight. And you have to imagine on the cabin table, I had amino acids, everything the weightlifting magazine said eat. You know, I had it.
Yeah.
You know, I was really bought into that scene. And I would come back from really long runs. Some of the runs were overnight. I was getting stronger and faster. My endurance was increasing, but I was losing my appetite. I could not eat that stuff, and I wanted to. And I heard one of the kids say, he says, you know, this is the weirdest thing. He says, since I've been going barefoot, it's like I just lose my appetite. And then it dawned on me. Over 200,000 nerves in the feet, and it was telling me I was too heavy. My body was telling me that I was too heavy. And when that light bulb kicked on, if it can tell me I'm too heavy, what else can it tell me? And that's where I came up with this mantra of follow your feet, miracle teach.
So Mick, what you're saying is you were too heavy, but you didn't realize it while you were essentially wearing shoes,
which are orthotics. They're prosthesis for the body.
So you stopped wearing shoes, was able to, you know, give your feet better connection to, I guess, the earth, right? And, you know, feel more with your feet. And your feet essentially told you you were too heavy, and that suppressed your appetite.
I mean, you can't argue with 200,000 receptors.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. And
Stevie would.
He tried.
I would debate with it, but.
And what's taking place here is your proprioceptor system. You know, your brain is nothing more than a reflecting organ. It's a muscular moving organ, and it has a primal body memory in it that has evolved for you know, millions and millions of years. And only 10,000 years ago did domestication and walls and machine electronics coming on, you know, like we have now. We start forming habits of those. And when you step out in your bare feet, you start stepping back in more of a natural movement, natural body weight. And you're waking up that primal body memory. But it takes a practice. You have to, you know, I developed a practice of how do I keep doing this and wake up my primal body memory even more, because an example would be, there's like the whole river. I use that as a treadmill. One way I use it is I just get in it and swim in one spot, and it's very cold, very deep and cold, and so it's adjusting my reflex to the cold. I'm getting that natural flowing movement, but the more I did those, I'd run into river otters, and as we shot quite a bit where they showed me swimming down the river, and I don't know if they showed it enough. I haven't seen them, but one of the things river otter moves very fluid, and so I learned to move fluid like that. So when you're going down the river, you don't hold yourself hard and pound into a rock. You actually kind of flow over it just like a river otter would. And so I was training in different ways like that and exploring it. I would take big stones and drop down in a lake, and I would train with the stones underwater, work on my breathing and my movement under there, working with the cold. And just how do I, if we think of our ancestors, they moved through that terrain, and that habitat formed them into the bodies that we carry now. So that, waking that up, finding that, and then exploring it in different ways, and then, I got as naked as possible. Well, if you look at if you're in the wild, if you go too naked, it will eat you up.
Yeah.
It's just, you'll eventually go down. And the earth I made a vow once I realized all this about my feet. I went, I'll never wear shoes again. For a while, I had to go back to work as a heavy equipment mechanic, and I cut the soles off the bottom of my boots and just left the steel toe on top, laced up.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm moving around the shop better. I no longer have back pain, neck pain. I'm just feeling so incredible. But then I started tasting this bitterness in my tongue. And then I realized, wow, I'm tasting the floor through my feet. This absorbs in your skin. And when that realization hit me, if this is not safe for my feet, it's not safe for me. And then I stepped away from, 2 homes, cars, and I mean literally left the lights on, grabbed my pack, and just took off on my adventure. And so that having those follow your feet and allow the earth to teach was what was, set me off on my journey exploring body movements and training with the earth and stuff. I think coming back down and going into the city and exploring that habitat as well. Like I did a run one time from Olympia all the way up into Stevens Pass up above Seattle. I took no map, nothing but my bedroll and on foot and moving. And I got down there, and I think it was around Tacoma area, and I just, there's so many fences and buildings, and I was like stuck. I just like, shit, how the hell are you on foot? How do you get through this stuff? And here goes this coyote walking past this fence. I couldn't believe this coyote was down there, and I followed him. And he went down to the railroad tracks. And then I went, duh. And I just wound up running the tracks, getting through all that city stuff. But it was a fun adventure.
Yeah.
Finding, I've developed the ability to sleep anywhere just about. I put my bedroll up. I can sneak into an area and climb up in trees. I was down in Green Lake Park in Seattle, and I used to hang my hammock up in a big cedar tree there. All the people walking around below, and I climb down, walk over to Starbucks and get a coffee.
Hey, Mick, I have a question for you. What's styles of karate in particular did you grow up with?
Well, being a barefooter, I've been through judo, and my dad was jiu-jitsu, and then I did karate and kickboxing, but I developed a style called Hayakwe Ikimus, and I'm the highest ranked in the world at it as far as I know now. It's a barefoot self-defense training I do, or practice. And with Hayakwe Ikimus basically means run like a son of a bitch.
That's a loose translation, I guess.
I think Forrest Gump owns has a belt in that.
Exactly. Yeah, I just saw that here about a year ago. I saw that Forrest Gump
That's great.
movie, and I was like, yeah, I know that feeling. You just got up and ran, and I just absolutely.
That's great. So the reason why I asked that question is I know, especially in the Okinawan karates and things like that, they had some very, very aggressive shin conditioning and hand conditioning, to make your hand like basically like a hammer or whatever, And so does that mentality play into any part of what you're doing now?
Well, yeah, it's called maturity, because I used to pound my fists against trees and my shins and went through all that stuff, and I suffer for it now.
Yeah.
My wrists are just trashed, and it was because of that kind of training, that hard impact training. I think we need impact training. It does strengthen the bones, but I was really overboard with it. And now at age 66, I feel that results from that. And it's like my uncle used to tell me when I was kickboxing for a while in the Far East Circuit. I remember he pulled me to the side and he says, Mick, you're the best I've ever seen at blocking your hands with your face. You better do something else.
That's funny. Yeah, so I love, whenever you were at varying distances and you said, can I hit you from here? No. Can I hit you from here? No. Can I hit you from here? You're a bit closer, and you're like, the guy says, yes. And you're like, yeah, don't stand here.
Don't stand there. Run, move. I think the reflex, I think that's what's happened to it when too many people become conformed in a culture. You get hung up in not following through on your reflex, and just respond. And distance is one of them. Get out of the situation. If you feel uncomfortable, just move out of the situation and go. And I've seen guys take 120-pound woman and train against a 200-pound guy. She's going to get creamed. Let's get real. Real fights. She's going to get messed in it. So she needs to run, pick up something sharp, throw something, use a cell phone,
Yeah.
Just, it's fight or flight. And my last name is Dodge. So, I love dodging.
There you go.
It's a natural tendency with me.
Mick, how did National Geographic find you?
I was actually known for going around with a two-wheel cart, hauling stones and sticks and hammers and training people. These two young girls, Michelle and Jenny, they had gone out I was living on Whidbey Island, had one of those old hunter tents set up there, and I was training a lot of kids at a Waldorf school, and I was running, training people at Olympic, and they tracked me down. They shot some stuff on me and then turned it over to a production outfit in Screaming Flea. And then they took it back east and they have some kind of convention or something where the production outfits get together and sell things to the networks. And so that's how it got started, was from those two.
You said they were from the Waldorf school?
Well, there was a Waldorf school on Whidbey Island.
Gotcha. I love their salads.
Yeah.
You also like Ken's dressing.
Sorry.
Mick, all the folks on the show that you're friends with on the show, how long have you known those people? Like I love Huckleberry. Like he's one of my favorites.
Huckleberry,
yeah.
Moss Hopper.
Yeah.
Moss Hopper, Willis Stone.
Willis Stone. How long?
Yeah, Years and years.
Really?
Huckleberry and I go way back. Him and I have been, he was in shoes and we'd still known each other. He's fourth generation from out in the Olympics too, and he was doing a lot of the teacher plants, the ayahuascas and stuff, and we hadn't seen each other for a while. Then he heard my barefooting thing, and he threw his shoes away immediately,
Really?
and just took off on his journey. He went all around the world barefooting, and we'd do a lot of songs and just do gatherings and that kind of stuff. So I've known Huck for all of them. I've known all of them for a long time. And Kevin Sullivan, he was in that professional wrestling crowd. And awesome teacher for me because he knew all about, he wrestled with Hulk Hogan. He's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame and stuff, and his wife, Bones.
Yeah.
They're just all incredible, dynamic people. And I think, the land and the mountain is what produces so many different kinds of characters like that. That's why I wanted to show the land of legends. The land is a legend. No human being is, but that kind of land produces some incredible, awesome people, and the bartering that goes on and taking care of each other and looking out for each other has been a large portion of my life and community. I think the word compassion is two words: community, passion. And I've always felt that with the people I know in the community I share life with. They're dynamic people, and I fought hard to get them on the show.
Did you?
Oh yeah, they just wanted this lone guy out in the woods that's I don't know, pissed off or struggling, and that's not what life is about for me with that. Now, the wet and cold has gotten to me. It hurts my joints, and I hear my granddaddy's laughing at me now because I used to razz him about it. But now it's at least the sun. I get down here in the sunshine and heal my bones. But yeah, they're all dying. Carl, with his leather work, he's amazing. And what he's done and built out there. Yeah, they're just great folks.
And I had a chance to go to the rainforest, the Hoh River, and the legend of the forest. Like the trees alone are just these. I don't know how old they are, but they're massive and mossy, and they're legends. Just the terrain, the
yes.
I mean, that's that tells a huge story that being from PA, I've never seen. And I mean, it looks like Yoda, like the Dagobah. You know what I mean? It's like
it's epic.
Yeah, like.
And Mick is Yoda.
I mean,
Mick is Yoda.
Did you run into Yoda at any one point?
No, my ears aren't that big.
Yeah, it's very impressive, and I fell in love with the place. I've been there one time. I'd love to get back, but man, is it amazing!
Yeah, you could really see the camaraderie with you guys, the community, you and Huck and Moonhair, all those folks. Really, it was. I think of the one episode. One of my favorite episodes is the one about the Autumn Feast, where you all get together, once a year and have a big meal, and a kind of a party of sorts, I guess.
Everybody,
family.
Everyone should have neighbors like that. Right?
Yeah. No kidding.
My favorite episode, you sent Willis Stone out to kind of go on his own little spirit journey for a few weeks, Mick, and he didn't come back to the spot that you said you were going to meet in 14 days, I believe it was. And you ended up going and looking for Willis Stone because you were concerned about him. But in the way that the episode played out was he really just got lost in time and got totally immersed within the forest.
Wow.
But yet the community was there, even though Will was okay, but you still needed to go make sure he was okay.
Track him down.
Yeah. And I tell you what, Mick, if it wasn't for my family, I think I'd be running from Pennsylvania out there to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, join us. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Did they have his? Did they show his partner Meredith in that one?
I know, and I didn't know that he even had a partner from.
Yeah. See this is how they edit and cut things out.
Yeah.
Meredith needed Will because of a family matter, and that's what set me off to go up there and find him. And I think they changed that when Willis Stone is an amazing individual. I mean, this guy, he could pick up some stone, man. He is a true Highlander, and he actually has. We got to nurture him. He's set up. He's on 40 acres out at Colton, Oregon. I think he's got 40 acres, and so I have another base camp there, and he's just awesome. But the thing that blows me away about him, big as he is, how he gets up there in that slack line and balances.
Yes.
That was nuts.
It's such an odd thing for me to watch a big guy like that balance so well. He's used the mountain and the forest to go out there and get into his natural body movement, and that primal body I was kind of talking about.
He is bigger than a brick, house. That's for sure.
Pure strength. You know, he could have went into the strongman competitions. I've seen him lift some really heavy stones.
Really?
Mick, that leads me to a question that I think if I ever had a hurdle, just initially to doing something like this, going, spending more time in the woods and barefoot, things like that. We all have our place, this, like, we take up our own space, and I think using my hunter brain, like I'm in and out of the woods. I try to leave, to go in and not leave a lot of behind and get out so that I don't mess with the deer or the turkey and so I think that would, for me, would be a hurdle in just spending time out there. I don't know. I guess a lot of my wood exposure is the woods where I hunt.
Yeah, you're trying to not be there.
Yeah.
While you're there. You don't want anything to know you're there. That's a great question. Is there a way to overcome that?
I mean, how much? I guess you see animals more by being out.
Yeah.
I think it's something inside yourself to explore, and barefooting or going out with as little as possible, and you don't have to don't have to start off overnight, but just going out. And to me, what I like to do is go out naked. Like down here in these mountains, I run naked, and then find out what I need. Well, let me back up. I'm running around naked up in the Olympic Mountains, and a friend of mine, the ranger, finds me and goes, Mick, you're freaking out a lot of backpackers. and so then I thought about that, and then I talked to Moon here, and then she helped me build a poncho.
Yeah.
Long poncho, and then I saw where I could use the poncho as my blanket. And so you're exploring your comfort zone, and you want to expose that habit. Why can't I just get out here and sit with myself, or whatever you're feeling in that reaction? You got reflexes, you got your reactions, and then your reflections. And so it's about going out there and immersing yourself in it for a short period of time and go, well, what do I really need here? What do I need? The more simple you go, the more you open up yourself to follow your feet. The earth will teach. Allow it to teach you something. And say, okay, well, I feel more comfortable with a set of moccasins. Give you an example. I made the vow I'm never going to wear shoes again. I was running around up by the glaciers and had my stashes up there and stuff, and I was really comfortable. But the damn snows came in early, and I woke up and there was like a foot of snow, and It was way down in the valley, and here I am barefoot. And so I spent the next 2 days keeping a fire going. I had a moose hide jacket that I had to cut up and start building into mucklucks. And what that moment taught me, that I had come into the mountains with a domination attitude. I made a vow I'll never wear shoes again, and I was just about ready to lose my feet, freeze them off. And so I had to realize I got 2 hands for crafting footwear, and so I started building my own box. I had to, cut up strips, a little leather for lacings, and once I got them done, I had to keep the fire going, to keep my body warm, and then I came out of there realizing the earth had taught me a big lesson, that I need to get more into crafting and creating, and not make these vows of this domination, I'll never wear shoes again. And
no absolutes.
No absolutes. And it's just being wide open and saying, teach me. Humor to me is, there's two sides to humor. We have humility. It's something we need to learn, how to be humble in life and hit that humility. But you stay humble too long, you start whining. You're a crybaby. You go too far. You can go too far with that humility. And then honor, is to be real with what's happening. To live what is the reality of what's coming up in front of you, and being honor direct with that. But honor can turn you into an asshole. You can, get too in somebody's face with some kind of thing you're trying to stand your ground. The balancing of that humility and humor to me or honor, the balance humility and honor is humor. And we're back to that. Yep. We're all so full of shit. And here I was sitting up by the glaciers realizing, wow, that was a stupid thing to say. Because I gave my word I'll never wear shoes again, and, I'm going to wind up losing my feet. So going out and going after those kind of lessons, you have to put yourself in that habitat and then allow for it to come, and then to come back and reflect it. And to do it with groups of people is really well, too, because you can see every one of us got these habits of thinking and feeling, and exposing those habits into the wild, the earth like that, those natural places, and keeping the things you have around you simple. Then you find out what you really need.
I think we're gonna have to need something like, there's a lot of poison ivy around here, so we're gonna need.
I'm not lying. Everything Mick has said, I love it. And the
poison ivy.
The only hesitation I've ever had with just dropping my stuff and going myself.
Yeah.
Like, I was really happy tonight to hear that Mick said we can bring our moccasins along.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I got sensitive feet. I'm a little bit sissified.
You got to
that
condition
way.
them.
I understand that, but as long as I can take my moccasins with me, Mick said it's okay, then I'm all right.
Yeah, I think you're on a really good point there. You take like, I teach a lot of barefooting, and people, the first thing that happens to you when you step out of shoes is you got to start paying attention. You go, or paying the price for not paying attention, because when you have shoes and boots on, you can just step anywhere you want. You just go, it's just like, you're not worried about it. But once you step out barefoot, here comes your attention and acceptance. You got to go, well, that's, I don't want to step on something sharp, I always get these questions sometimes with people go, I had one guy ask me, he goes, well, he says, what do you do about dog shit? And I try
not to step goes between your toes, right?
Yeah, I try not to step in it. If I do, I wipe it off. These are simple answers. And I don't know why he's asking me. One lady asked me one time, well, what do you do when your feet get cold? And I said, well, I try to get them warm.
Bless her heart.
I had a radio interview guy. He says, yeah, out there. He says, what do you eat? out there, though mostly food. You know, we all know the answers to these things. It's this barrier we start putting up, and that's idle mind. It's just do it. Just go out there and find out for yourself. Like, we shot, I don't know if they showed it or not. I remember we shot Ben Sanford, who's, we call him Tarzan. The guy runs a Tom Brown school up there called Tribal Edge up by Swin. He's a longtime friend of mine. And Ben was going to do the bow drill. And Wade Green, who's a Mackay Indian, was with us. We were doing the Olympic Games. That was the series of the show we were doing. And I don't know if they showed it in that show or not, but Ben had just made a new bow drill, and he couldn't get it going. And Wade Green, Mackay Indian, reaches in his pocket, pulls out a Bic lighter, and he goes, "Here, try this, and if it makes you feel better, you can rub it back and forth on it." That is the essence of what I'm talking about, is when you have these feelings, you're like, I don't know if I could do that. What do I need out of my feet are too sensitive and stuff? It's take a set of socks with you, you know, and it's amazing how I run in socks all the time. And they're very flexible and they move. What you're after is that flexibility, that freedom of movement in there, instead of having that hard structured boot around your foot and stuff. Yeah. And just giving you that same touch of that every time your foot comes down. When you bring diversity back into your foot movement, you're bringing diversity back into your brain. And then when you get back in the city and you're dealing with the monotone and the one way and the polarization and stuff, you're more creative because your brain has been in that creative place in that movement. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, Mick, I think that leads us into, you mentioned it early on in the episode about the Earth Gym. Could you give us more information about that? Explain that to us a little bit more?
We know what a gym is, and we go into a gym or a training hall or a dojo to focus on physical movement and physical effort, and how to do that, how to move. You know, if you're an athlete or a warrior or a ballet or whatever you're doing, you're focusing body movement in to bring that in there. And those are all great things. I really honor gyms and what go on with them and people training in them. But to take the physical movements out into the earth and natural environment and go, wow, how do I bring those movements out here? You know, it's like lifting iron or Olympic bar, powerlifting and stuff. You know, try stone and you will find that it will make you work differently. You got to grip it better, and so there's stone lifting. So as I began to barefoot and found this movement, and my endurance just increased. My back pain went away, my posture changed. There was an entire shift I went in my barefoot. Then I started using sticks in order to and making the stick part of my bones. So I started exploring leverage with sticks, logs. Sticks led me into trees. And so we know that this is a basic tool that our ancestors have had for millions of years. When we developed, climbing around in trees, developed our shoulders and our hand grips, our eye color. And so as we stepped out of those trees, we probably carried a stick with us. You know, and then you have stones, and then you have a training with ropes, just one rope. And I call it weaving with ropes. And you learn how to hang it over a tree limb and climb trees with it, how to turn it into a harness. Then you put two ropes together. So now you're taking simple tools that have been within our species for thousands and thousands of years, a stick, a rope, and a stone. Yeah. And then I started integrating them together. A stick and a stone, that's a hammer. I had a buddy had a water injection drill and popped a hole in the stone for me, and I fastened it with a natural stick. The way I got into realizing that was there was this big spruce on the gravel bar of the river, and the roots had grown around the stone. And I took a saw, a little bitty saw, worked on that root, cut that out of that tree, and it was a hammer. It was, the roots had grown around the stone, and it was a beautiful training piece. And so if I go through this progression, it's bare feet, then you got a stick for exploring leverage. The rope is weaving like your muscles, your fibers. That begins to ground out when you start lifting stone or iron. And then a sack. I can take a sack and sack cover my feet with sacks. I can use sacks to put stones in and lift. I can use sacks to sleep in. So I call clothing and stuff sacking. And then integration of stick and stone brings you to hammers. And then you got rope and stone, which is, I hunt with a sling at times and swinging, rope and stone around. Now, if you integrate stick, stone, and rope, you're into archery. And because that's what those three pieces are in archery. Yeah. And then you got stick and rope, so that's flashing, that's building your huts and stuff. And you have stick and rope as small as a needle and thread. And so we're a tool using animal, and so as we look at these primal tools and begin to take them out into the wild and explore them, and, well, how would I build a shelter here? How would I use this for training? Make a trapeze thing. I mean, it's so creative how you can get going. And so I was sharing for years what I call the barefoot athletics. And I would take all my athletic movements, powerlifting, martial arts, running, cycling, any of those things, take them out into the mountains for long periods of time. I'd set up a cave with food and stash, and I would explore. I called that the aesthetic, barefoot aesthetics. I was living pretty much as an ascetic, and I was finding every way possible, like using a river as a treadmill, climbing trees, and I read a book about pranayama. And because a lot of yoga people were asking me to guide them out into the mountains. And like in yoga, you guys have heard of tree pose, right?
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Right? Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of them had, but I just pointed out to them, you forgot the goddamn tree. Get out with the tree and stand in the limb. You got mountain pose, ancient practice and discipline. You got this mountain pose where you forgot the stone, you forgot the mountain. Take it out to these places and explore in movement and stuff. And it's just, people come to me, wow, Mick, can you teach me about tracking? We all know how to track. That's natural within us. You go into the supermarket, you're scouting, tracking, and hunting. Hey, we were scavengers, and all of us have those things. So it's not like you don't have them. And people step out there and goes, wow, I don't know how to find food out here. Yes, you do. Give you an example of that. One of the things I've been exploring down here in the drylands, down here in the sun, is long distance. I go out running, and I go out thirsty. The more you desire something, and I'm desiring water, and as I am running and looking and have no water, and I know I need water, and that desire builds, the land starts to shift. And I think there's an ancient primal instinct in us goes, I would look at a place and go, wow, there should be water over there. And this one place I got to, there would be water there. And I get there, and there's no water. And I dug down about 6 inches in this place. There's no water, and I got to get back. And Gabu was with me, and she's dragging, and so we make it back. We get our water. But I went back out the next day, and I dug down deeper, and there was water. And I think all of us have this instinct in us, this natural ability. It's just a matter of throwing yourself into the place to let that come forward. The same with food. Once I realized my feet have an effect on my appetite. I can run for long periods of time and not need food, or not feel hunger. I think the body shuts down, and once we start walking and moving, we start looking for food, we start hunting, that hunger goes away. I always notice that about, my body in that relationship. So it's about exploring, stepping out there and exploring all these ways. Now, if I can explore that through my physical senses, like the largest sensory organ of the body is the muscle, and what it senses is making the effort. And so where you're at with a thing where you go, well, if I go out there, I'm not sure I could be by myself or something like that. You don't know. It's to make the effort. Use the largest sensory organ of the body, the muscle, and put yourself out so to do it. And then you have your water sense. Well, how do I train my water? One of the reasons we don't like getting cold is because we're a walking sack of water, and we don't want to freeze our water. And food sense. How do I track what I can eat in the forest? So if, like down here is new terrain to me, I go out and run 20, 30 miler, and I run hungry. I'm hungry. I don't eat for a day, and I go out and do this run. And then as I stop and I look, this desire to eat, this hunger, makes me really look at everything. And then I see something and I go, wow, I wonder if I could eat that. It sure looks like I could eat it. And then I learn about it.
I'd run right to
what
McDonald's.
What can I do with it? Yeah, I had a hell of a time with McDonald's. I didn't get the one. I drove up to that place, and Gabu was with me, and I said, well, I got meat on the burgers. And so I pulled in there, and she took my order, and I sat there. I didn't know you were supposed to pull up the next window. And I was waiting how this worked. Then I finally caught on. I pulled up to the next window and took the money, and I'm sitting there waiting for my food. And then it was, no, go to the next window.
Whoa, one more.
Yeah, so it's training is three things: knowledge, skill, and desire. Yeah. And if you want to go to McDonald's, you have to have the knowledge of where it is, the routine. You got to develop the skills to go in there and pay your money and drive up to the next window. And so anything we're approaching, those three things are all, as far as training goes, to me, is I learned this years ago from my sensei, Gabu-san, and the knowledge, skill, and desire. And you look at them like a triangle, and you learn some knowledge about something. Now you got to develop the skills in it, but you also have to focus on the desire. And so you want knowledge and skills that feed that desire, and the desire feeds the knowledge and skills. And train yourself and start exploring that. I will say, after the end of the McDonald's thing, Gabu would not eat that burger.
She's smart.
Yeah, don't blame her.
I know, and so I walked it back inside, and I said, here, my dog won't eat this. Can I get my money back? And they wouldn't give me my money back.
They wouldn't.
The way that, Mick, the way you're describing that with those three pieces and what you're doing, the difference, like you said, you're a thrivalist, right? You're not a survivalist. You're a thrivalist. You aren't putting yourself in a situation where you want to just simply survive and get out of that situation. You're putting yourself into it. That's that whole desire factor you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself into that situation on purpose because you want to be there. You're honing those other skills while you're there. So you're not surviving. You're thriving.
Yeah.
I like it.
This is great.
That is the adventure to me. Explore them. Because I'm not just interested in eating for the day. I wish to develop wisdom qualities and how to, use this mindfulness. Simple releases more. And that's what I have found out. And that's what I love sharing.
Well,
is how to do that and then how other people are doing it. There's lots of people doing this.
There's a lot we're going to take, away from this episode. I can't wait to start to break it down. And
I'm going to have to listen to it 4 or 5 times.
I I always listen
lot to
to
process.
these. Yeah, I always listen to these 4 or 5 times because I edit it. But it's going to take.
Yeah, we are. We're right on. We're coming up on time here, Mick. But I know in closing, you obviously have a lot to share, a lot to teach, a lot you want to get out there. You are in the midst of a new project with this YouTube channel, right?
Our YouTube channel stuff we're filming it now, getting ready to launch that off.
It's
The only
still in
thing
process. Yeah.
So you'll have me on the edge of my seat waiting for that to show up.
Yeah, buddy.
I got a Facebook page, and that's a story in itself. When this show came out, I had to deal with this celebrity crap. And I am in celebration of the earth, but it's very dangerous, this celebrity stuff. And like people come up with a cell phone and go, can I get a picture of you? And I'm
we know, Mick. We know how it is.
No,
you know how that is?
No,
we don't.
What I did, I went up to the
can't
earth.
get Stevie to take a
What am I
picture
going
of
to do
himself.
about all these people taking pictures? And so when somebody wants a cell phone picture, I go, well, you got to be barefoot because I'm a barefoot salesman. And to watch some of these people try to take their shoes off, never seen their feet for like 40 years, is just amazing.
Yep. That's awesome. Mick, this has been phenomenal. I am, I hate cutting you off because I just feel like there's so much more to talk about.
Decades more.
Can we make a part 2? Can we at least? Say that,
I don't
guys?
want to force him into just joining our podcast.
Every week.
Every week.
We'll call you next week.
You available every Thursday? But no, this has been phenomenal, and I appreciate you coming on and joining us around our Sonic campfire. That's a big deal for us. And Mick, this has been phenomenal, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it,
Well,
Mick.
thank you guys. It's like one of the things when you get out into solitude in the wilderness like this, and God would never ask me a damn thing. So, I probably went on pretty long-winded there. But
No,
You're a shaman's shaman, buddy. That's for sure.
It's amazing stuff.
well, we'll let you get back to what you were doing there.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, please. We appreciate it. We're going to keep an eye out for your YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll follow along
Follow
the
you
best
on
we can.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll check in again, Mick.
Mick, can you give
all
us?
right, you guys.
Can you give us one last yush?
All right, let me work it up.
All right.
It comes from. I heard it comes from
Like
down in.
the gut there.
Down.
All
There we go.
Hey, Mick, we love you, man. Thank
you,
you.
right, you guys, take care, man.
Yosh. Stevie,
Yeah, Uncle Buck.
in not an improper way, Will just got done pinching me and me pinching him.
It was mutual.
I should hope so.
And it was above the waist. So,
Our hands are.
What
where we
does
can
that
see
have
them.
to do with anything?
because I'm
Hand
that
check.
excited.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for setting this up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mick
very
was an
much.
easy guy to
Yeah.
get a hold of, and and a great sport and a great guest. And keep an eye out for his YouTube channel. Look him up on Facebook because it's
So
it's
much
awesome.
information.
So much information. So much information.
Forethought and everything. It's just crazy.
How many times do you think we're gonna have to listen, go through this
Countless.
to
my friend.
digest it?
Yeah.
Countless times.
Lots of information going on.
Yeah. So what's new with everyone? What's new with you, bud? You had a big Saturday last week, didn't you?
I got out for
You
the
wanna
first
talk
time.
about
I
it?
got my David Kyle on.
Yeah?
You did.
know?
Did you kill something?
No.
What?
But I got into
You
it.
tried your David Kyle on, and then you hung it back up on the shelf.
Yes.
Well, I pulled a Will last night and didn't kill anything either. So
Ouch.
Anyway.
edit.
As they would say on the 70s show, that was a burn.
So I did get up into a tree stand.
Yes.
I was dangerously close to
You were.
harvesting a doe.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, it just wasn't in the cards via the sticks and the brush and the things, and her choice.
Did she have a rangefinder on you?
She had, no, she didn't know I was there. I'm like a,
But it was
ninja.
nice to just be out, wasn't it? That's what I'm looking forward to.
I missed it.
2 weeks.
I kind of like wasn't out of the fishing mode, so I kind of forced it. And
Right.
I didn't think I would need to force it, but I did.
You're an outdoorsman this year, bud. You're not just a hunter.
Yeah.
You're an outdoorsman.
Yeah.
So I forced it, and then I got up in the tree, and it was great.
It's clicking.
Yeah.
It was dead calm. I mean, I will say that. I couldn't hear. I visually saw the deer before I hear them. I mean,
No way.
and that's kind of rare. I mean, it's just moisture and all that in the ground and the leaves, but I'm ready for the rest of the state to open up to me
How much longer you got?
next week.
A few weeks. Next week.
Not
10
this
days.
weekend, but next. Yep.
That's awesome. So, like, I won't see any of you guys then on the river
No,
after that.
It'll be good.
We have Sundays.
Yeah.
We can fish on Sunday
You promise?
once a month.
Once a month.
Well, aren't you going to get out in the woods this year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
right.
vaguely remember.
Of course I will. No, I have an idea. Well, I better not.
You may
I
not
better
have Granddad's
Save
gun
it.
this year,
Save
but
it.
are you going to still get out, though?
I've got an
Stevie?
idea for what we're going to do. Yeah, actually, Phil, you and I, so keep an eye out for...
All things Stevie in the wild.
Yeah,
So
it's-
I need to keep my date book open for you.
Yeah, but it has to be the day that you're going to take a deer. So make
Perfect.
sure... Yeah, just make sure I'm part
I'll
of
call
that.
you that morning
Okay.
before I do.
Okay, all right. Cool.
Like Catfish did, right?
Yeah, that's pressure,
Yeah.
guys, because I don't even...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil, what's new with you?
Oh, golly. What's new is I walked out last night.
On your life?
No, not on my life, to go out to the back shed, and I noticed some things. I really wasn't in the mind frame that I should have been when I was walking outside. But as I thought of it, my head popped up. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like I willed it into existence.
Really?
But as I was popping my head up, that 7-8 point buck that I've been getting pictures of
Yeah.
He was in your yard?
pulled his head up at the same time.
Oh, boy.
And
As if to give you a wink and a nod.
and he was with
I'll see you soon.
two of his other
see you
friends.
soon.
One had a similar like rack, and one was a little bit younger.
No
yeah.
kidding.
Bachelor groups.
Yeah,
They're still together.
and they're still together, and they're still running through my area. And I haven't seen that. We haven't on
Yeah.
the camera for
3
a few
weeks.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Whoa. So yeah,
He's just
I'm
letting
ready.
you know he's still there.
Yeah, they all are, and I can't wait for the 30th. It's after last
close.
year. I'm ready, guys. I'm so ready.
Ryan, how about you?
I killed a buck last year. I'll tell you guys.
Did
about
you?
it sometime.
That's a good story.
I got to shoot my bow a little bit, but as I said in the text message to you guys, like I really, really need to focus on hunting.
Right.
You know, archery's my thing. It's my passion. I need to focus more on it. We're really close now. And as I said in the text message, having said that, I went fishing today. so there's that.
Did you get anything?
I did actually catch, I caught a nice largemouth bass on my way out of the river.
Nice.
But really my catch today was on film.
Really?
Yeah, I did a little bit of filming today.
Because it wasn't Bryce
No, your son came with us.
who got the first fish today.
Yes, he was the first fish out of the group, and he also caught a largemouth in the river, which I don't know. I don't know if is that strange for the largemouth to be in there, but Bryce and I each caught a decent largemouth.
But
right
that's
there.
not the story, though.
No.
What were you guys using? Can you say?
I was throwing at that point. It was.
Let me guess, a Kitech.
It's almost like David Kyle knows me.
Oh, man.
You know what?
It was a Kitech at that point.
It must be magic.
I threw so much
was.
though. I was peanut butter jelly jigs. I was using Cincos. I was Ned rigging little worms. I had tubes on.
You're switching it up. I like it.
I tried everything. Whopper ploppers. I had I was whipping spooks at one point. I was walking them across the water. And you know what caught him? Do you know what caught him, David Kyle? Kitech.
Same
So
thing
quit
I
giving
use.
me a bunch of crap.
And Bryce used a Kitech for his largemouth as well.
See, they were there. But
Excellent.
again,
But that's not the story.
It wasn't.
That is not the story, folks.
we'll have to keep going around the table.
Steve-
David Kyle.
David Kyle, what's new with you?
Oh man, just got to go out last night. You know, nice to be out in the woods. I'm hunting in Maryland still, so it's good to be out. Pennsylvania, I put up 2 more stands, so really ready for opener of Pennsylvania, but I'll be out of town, so you know.
Tell me where those stands are.
Seriously.
I'll give you like some GPS points later.
Thank you.
Yeah, but there's a gate, and I'm not going to give you a passcode for the gate.
We don't need that.
We'll climb it.
Yeah.
I got
But,
bolt cutters.
But when I'll be out of town, we'll be doing a little bit of ocean fishing. So get to go out. Just a little party boat situation, Dad and I. But hopefully catch some flounder. You know, so.
Do you invite anybody else?
Sorry. This is Dad and I's trip every year. We go to the NASCAR race at Dover, Delaware.
You guys have a lot of your.
Yeah, Dad and
personal
I,
trips.
personal trips.
Yeah.
I'm new to the group, so I'm still not used to inviting everybody
We
else.
don't. If you're going someplace cool like that and you're not inviting us, we don't talk about it.
sorry.
Don't tell us. Don't take
I was gonna
pictures.
You're
bring
just out of town.
Yeah, I was just
I'm out of town.
Okay.
I'm out of town.
That works. But-
Because it kind of hurts our feelings.
Well, I'm
harbor
doing
these feelings.
some pre-research with this party boat for us for next summer.
Oh, awesome.
So independent
That's a
research
great idea.
for the group
For flounder.
for flounder.
Oh, smooth.
Cool. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, I wish you all the luck. I'd be catching muskie.
Yeah.
Strange you would say that.
Yeah. You know, there's days when you have lousy fishing, and there's days when you have good fishing, and then there's days that just kind of like overshadow everything. There's a couple days like that come to mind, like when we fished with Monster Mike, and a couple of times in the surf fishing for me, with catfish. But today was
For
me,
striper.
For striper,
That's a good story.
I could tell that story. I probably should talk about that again for 40 minutes. But today was one of those days that really caught me off guard. So we went. There's a group of us went before the podcast and on the river wet wading, and that's become my new favorite way to fish.
That's a lot of fun. This was my first summer to do that.
It's
great.
I was telling Ren, this is the first year I've ever fished on the river. Like,
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say that, but I love it. It's been wonderful. So we all met up and didn't have too much luck for the first half hour. Then changed spots, and I was fishing with Phil and his son, and walked over to where Ryan was about 40 yards downstream, and I was
Thank goodness you did. Somebody had to get down there and catch the fish.
holy buckets. And
Were you a spot stealer?
I did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, he did the Stevie.
really?
no.
Wait,
Casting
Ryan
over.
said he needed to change a lot of baits, so I'm assuming he was
Classic Stevie.
retying and you just started casting to.
I was reaching for
But
my.
did I jump your spot?
I was reaching for my bone-colored whopper plopper, and all of a sudden I heard Stevie casting, and the next thing I heard was, "Oh my!"
Did it start zizzing?
It started zizzing.
Zizzing,
it was,
kicking?
It was zizzing. So I was throwing the bone whopper. This is like 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the
Zizzing your
afternoon.
timbers.
And I was.
And I'm like, Stevie, it's a little early to be throwing the bone.
Well,
He's like, I got this.
I got this.
Yeah.
I had a feeling. I get those feelings that never pan out, but I had a feeling. So we laid into a fish, and it was
A fish.
a fish, and it felt good, like it was pulling. And I had to drag. I used 20-pound braid on this rod,
No heartbreaker.
and no heartbreaker, and it was pulling out drag. And
I turned around, and Stevie had that look. Like I had just casted when he caught this fish. I had just casted, and I looked back over my shoulder, and he goes, "That's a good one, bud." And I immediately just, boom, rod. I dropped it right on the rocks. I didn't even bother to reel it in.
Sure.
Grabbed the phone. I'm like, we're going live.
Did you go live?
We almost did.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have the R2 Facebook account, so I didn't want to go live on my. Why would I? So I was just like, I'm going to record this. This needs to be saved for posterity because this is a beautiful largemouth or smallmouth bass coming in.
Could have
We're
been
on the river.
a channel cat.
Absolutely.
It could have been anything, but all Stevie said was, "This is a nice fish," and I'm like, if Stevie says it's a nice fish,
He didn't communicate with you.
well, apparently I didn't communicate to him because he said he didn't know he was.
No, I
being
didn't know I was being filmed.
I'm like, let's do this.
And yeah, so I was in shock, because I wasn't expecting that, and but so I wasn't really saying a whole lot, knowing that I wasn't on, or not knowing that I was being videoed. But yeah, it was. It was fun. So it ended up being, it wasn't a huge muskie, but it was my first muskie.
Was it a muskie?
It was a muskie. Yeah. I did.
It was
It was a muskie.
It was at least
It was a
30
muskie.
inches.
It was somewhere. I don't know.
It was over 24. That thing was more than 2 foot.
So it was one of the bigger freshwater fish I've ever caught, but I didn't realize how strong they were. I see Christine Fisher holding these massive muskie up, and she's got them, holding them under
Like
the
in a
gill
rear
plate
naked
there.
choke?
Yeah, and like it's nothing. And I'll tell you, I was having a hard time controlling this fish.
Now here's, and I've gone to this well a couple of times, and I apologize for going there again, but I've really only fished for trout for years. I'm just getting into like big fish fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I do know, the little bit that I know about muskie, is they can sense dominance.
Oh,
So that must be why they just kind of roll over for Christine.
that must be.
Yeah.
But for you, they're like,
I got this,
stop
dude."
touching me.
Yeah.
I heard that you
Quit
can,
touching me.
Yeah, you can shame them into submission.
I'm going to try that next. I'm going to insult it into settling down.
You got to talk dirty to muskie, but
You're just a muskie.
No, it was. I wish Ant Glasgow Jr. was there.
Oh.
He could have helped me, figure out how to hold this thing and control it.
You are the dawn.
Maybe Tyler Dunn,
Maybe
even.
throw out the T words.
I mean, any of those three.
The T
as soon as
birds.
Ant saw what was on the end of that bone-colored whopper plopper,
Yeah.
he'd have probably just side-checked you,
really
pushed you into the river,
Yeah.
and just kept reeling it. I got it, mate. I got it.
I would be happy. I would be so happy reeling in Stevie's muskie.
That was the dawn.
No, it was fun. We had a good time, and ended up, after that,
How big was that smallmouth you caught?
I don't know.
5 minutes
football.
later.
It was
a football.
big. That was like a 2 nice smallmouth. And,
3 pounds? 4?
It was
3?
but probably around 4.
It was a big
Four,
smallmouth.
and there was a couple of those, but yeah, I was surprised. It turned out tonight turned
That's
out,
the
or this
spot.
evening turned out. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. If it wasn't for
Be a
Mick
liar.
Dodge, I would still be at the river fishing right now. No, that was.
I believe that. That's the first thing I believed from you all night long.
It was fun. So we got to do that again sometime soon. It's getting colder here, like you guys are.
Yeah.
Bringing up,
Apparently, it's
so.
a big muskie spot. And I
Yeah.
think it's time we
I think it's only going
Let's
to
take it
get
to
better
'em.
as it gets colder, too,
Yeah.
guys.
take
Yeah,
it
but
to 'em.
the water gets colder too, bud.
It's called waders.
It's kayaks,
You make a
boys.
wise point, my friend.
I have a pair of waders for sale.
You do.
And I have some neoprene fishing waders.
I have fishing waders, but
Cold weather ones, though.
not cold weather
Yeah, I
ones.
got them for sale.
Put some long johns on. You'll be all right.
I can
We'll
do
work
that.
it out.
Kayaks,
right.
boys. Kayaks. Get them out.
Get you some.
Yeah, boys.
All right, guys. I think that's a wrap.
I think we need to kick this.
Let's kick this pig.
As-
Ryan, where can they find
As they
us?
say in the industry.
As a in the podcast world, let's kick this pig.
They can find us at www.rutandriverpursuits.com, on Facebook,
Rut and River Pursuits Podcast.
on Instagram and Twitter.
At R2 Pursuits.
Fantastic. On YouTube.
At Rut and River Pursuits.
We're everywhere.
We're like
Everywhere.
a MasterCard, but better.
Subscribe to
Or
that
American
YouTube
Express,
channel.
I think.
And follow us individually as well.
Sounds good, guys.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks for listening to the Rut and River Pursuits podcast. Follow the R2 Pro staff by searching Rut and River Pursuits on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until the next episode, we need to see you in the outdoors.